Are you sure you want this many? It's quite a lot.
It also has a good taste that is suitable for all ages.
I think with its good taste and abundant nutrients, it will be favored by many people.
This one is good and it's so fresh.
Yes, I'll take this one. It looks delicious.
This fruit is so sweet. No. Yes, it's perfectly ripe.
They started here as refugees, but now are helping build up the community by starting small businesses and restaurants. They started here as refugees, but now are helping build up the community by starting small businesses and restaurants.
When you have that kind of environment, it's not good for your health, it's not good for your career. The best part about this is the versatility and all the different attachments that you can put on it. We are thinking of going to the movies tonight.
Oh, which one are you thinking about?
The best part about this is the versatility and all the different attachments that you can put on it.
The day begins with the warmth of family life. Inside a modest home, the narrator moves quietly, yet with purpose, caring for two young children. The baby, Long, has just awakened. His cries echo softly, calling for comfort. Without hesitation, water is boiled, powdered milk is prepared, and the tiny bottle is placed into his small hands. Beside him, Han, the older child, is already awake, full of energy and questions. Han watches curiously, giggles at Long's expressions, and insists on helping, even though he is still too small to carry much weight. The scene feels ordinary, but within that ordinariness lies the beauty of responsibility, of tenderness, of quiet love. Breakfast is simple. Instant noodles, steaming and fragrant, are shared at the table. Han slurps eagerly, noodles clinging to his lips, while Long drinks his milk slowly, almost ceremoniously. The narrator, tired but patient, moves between them, wiping faces, cleaning spills, speaking gently. The rhythm of daily life unfolds, a mix of care, repetition, and moments of laughter that make even poverty feel rich. Yet, beneath the laughter, there is also a heavy awareness of how fragile everything is. Later, the focus shifts to the workshop, the heart of livelihood. The smell of wood and sawdust fills the air. Machines hum, and the men talk about contracts, prices, and the ever-changing demands of the market. News spreads quickly in places like this. The demand for 1.3-meter panels has risen overseas, and everyone is under pressure to adapt. The narrator listens carefully, eyes sharp, weighing every word. Business is survival. Every decision matters. He discusses profits, losses, labor costs, and market instability. Yet, even as he talks numbers, his thoughts are pulled elsewhere, to the family waiting at home, to the unfinished house of his friend, to the uncertainty of tomorrow. The conversations at the factory reveal more than just economics. They reveal connections, loyalties, and the fragility of human lives. A worker shares that his mother has left the city to live quietly in the countryside. Another mentions the premature birth of Miss Tieu Ca, a friend now struggling with both a newborn and an unfinished home. There is talk of John being arrested. There is also troubling news. Miss Deep has gone missing, and no one knows where she is. These fragments, shared casually in the workshop, carry a weight that cannot be ignored. Each piece of news threads itself into the wider story of the community, where lives are intertwined, and hardship is a collective burden. Evening arrives, and the narrator's mind is restless. Beyond the factory walls, beyond the calculations of profit, life calls with more urgent demands. He thinks about his plan, moving the workshop to a new location by the end of the year, leaving behind the old land to build something greater. A villa, perhaps, where his children could grow up with more comfort. The dream feels distant, almost fragile, but the determination in his heart is solid. And yet, dreams are interrupted by the needs of the present. The day is not done. There are melons to sell on the roadside. Standing by the street, the narrator calls out to passers-by, holding the fruit up proudly, bargaining with smiles and persistence. Customers laugh, argue about sweetness and price. Some complain, some praise. But every sale matters. Every coin is a step closer to security, to survival, to that distant villa he dares to imagine. What seems like a normal day holds within it layers of struggle, hope, and determination. The love for children, the duty to friends, the responsibility to workers, and the fragile balance of business all blend into one single truth. Life is a constant test of endurance. The night settles slowly over the small town, and yet, for the narrator, the responsibilities do not end. After a day spent caring for the children and managing the concerns of the wood factory, there is still more to do, because life in this community flows endlessly from one duty to the next. The thoughts of Miss Tieu Ca weigh heavily on his mind. She has given birth too soon, and the fragile cries of her infant echo like a silent plea that reaches everyone who knows her. Her house is incomplete, the walls half finished, the roof still waiting to be secured. How can a mother rest easy when her child must sleep under an unfinished roof? The narrator gathers what he can, small supplies, a willingness to work with his own hands, and sets out to help. The path to her house is quiet, the sound of crickets rising, the dim glow of scattered lamps guiding his way. When he arrives, he sees her exhaustion, her hands trembling as she washes a few dishes, her body too weak to bear the weight of her new responsibilities. He does not speak much, for there is no need. Actions are louder than words. He takes the dishes from her hands, washes them carefully, each one shining under the dim light, while she sits down, finally able to rest for a moment. He then works on installing the solar panel she had long dreamed of, but could not afford to finish. The wires, the panels, the tools, all come together under his steady hands. And when the first light flickers on, illuminating her dark home, she smiles with tears in her eyes, a smile mixed with gratitude and disbelief. For in that moment, hope returns to her household. Later, he visits the grandmother of his children, the woman who has carried so many burdens quietly over the years. She greets him at the doorway, her back bent from years of labor, her face marked with the lines of age, yet her eyes still filled with determination. She speaks of her days, of walking long distances to bring the children home from school, of her aching knees that never seem to heal, of her worry that her strength may not last forever. He listens with respect, his heart heavy with guilt, because he knows how much she has sacrificed, how much she has endured silently. He promises her that he will make life easier soon, that she will not always have to carry these weights alone. She nods, though she has heard such promises before. Yet in his voice she hears sincerity, and in his eyes she sees determination. And so, for tonight at least, she believes. Meanwhile, in the background of these personal moments, the community buzzes with whispers of fear and uncertainty. Word spreads quickly that John has been arrested, though the reasons remain unclear, and fear settles like a shadow over the town. People lower their voices, avoid asking too many questions, afraid of what they might discover. And then there is the news of Miss Deep's disappearance, a woman once full of energy, laughter, and kindness, now gone without a trace. Some say she has left willingly, others suspect foul play, but no one truly knows. The narrator feels a chill when he thinks of her absence, for she was part of their circle, part of the fragile web of connections that held their community together. Now her absence leaves a void, a silence that feels louder than words. And though life must go on, everyone feels the unease pressing at their hearts. In the midst of uncertainty, he continues to work at the wood factory, determined to secure a future. He talks of moving the factory by the end of the year, of leaving the current land behind to build something greater. He dreams of constructing a villa, a place of safety, comfort, and pride. A place where his children could run freely, where his mother and grandmother could rest without worry, where guests could be welcomed with dignity. He walks the land in his mind, seeing walls rising, gardens blooming, rooms filled with laughter. Yet, as he dreams, he also knows the sacrifices such dreams demand. Money must be earned, risks must be taken, nights must be endured without sleep. Still, he carries the vision like a torch in the darkness, a reminder of why he endures the weight of each day. Between these heavy thoughts, there are lighter moments, fleeting glimpses of joy that give balance to hardship. On the roadside, he sells melons, their green skin glistening in the sunlight, their sweetness a small miracle from the earth. Customers stop, some bargaining, some praising, some laughing as they taste. He chats with them, jokes, and even when the sales are small, his spirit lifts, because every smile exchanged reminds him that life, though difficult, still holds beauty. By the end of the day, fatigue wraps around him like a heavy cloak, yet his heart is restless. He lies awake, listening to the breathing of his children, the soft hum of the night beyond the window, and he wonders what tomorrow will bring. Will the factory succeed with its new production? Will Miss Deep be found? Will Miss Tieu Ca's child grow strong and healthy? Will the dream of the villa one day become real? Each question lingers in the silence, unanswered, but carried with hope. Because hope, even when fragile, is the thread that holds everything together. The dawn rises slowly, its pale light spilling across the village, painting the houses, the trees, and the dusty roads with a gentle glow. But inside the narrator's heart, the weight of the previous day remains heavy, because though the sun climbs, many questions from the night remain unanswered. He begins the day as always, tending to the children, their sleepy eyes blinking open, their laughter a fragile melody that pushes away the silence for a moment. And as he pours milk into cups, as he boils water for noodles, he studies their faces, seeing in them both innocence and responsibility. Innocence because they do not yet know the full burden of life. Responsibility because he knows that every choice he makes now is not only for himself, but for them. After breakfast, he prepares to face the world outside, where challenges wait in every corner. Yet he draws strength from the small smiles of his children, promising silently that he will not let hardship steal their future. At the wood factory, the air smells of sawdust and labor. Men move back and forth carrying heavy planks. Machines hum with effort, and the narrator walks through it all with careful eyes, checking the measurements, noting the orders, discussing with workers about the new market demands. There is talk of producing boards of 1.3 meters, a new size that international buyers want. And though it will require adjustments, he knows it must be done if they are to survive in this competitive trade. He calculates costs, considers shipping, imagines how the factory must adapt quickly, and in every decision he feels the weight of dozens of families who depend on this place for their livelihood. He cannot afford mistakes, because one mistake may close doors forever. The workers trust him. They look to him for guidance, and so he wears a mask of certainty, even when doubt gnaws at his thoughts. In between these practical concerns, his mind wanders to his friend Tieu Ca, who is still recovering from her early birth. He remembers the fragile sound of the baby's cry, the unfinished house, the quiet desperation in her tired eyes, and he wonders how she is surviving. He promises himself to visit again, to bring whatever supplies he can gather, because no one should endure such trials alone. The thought of community, of standing together, becomes an anchor for him, because in this village, when one suffers, all feel the tremor. And yet, even as he thinks of helping her, he cannot ignore the shadow that hangs over the community. John's arrest, and Diep's disappearance. These names are spoken softly, whispered with caution, because no one wants to attract the wrong kind of attention. No one wants trouble to find their doorstep. But silence cannot erase fear, and fear lingers in the markets, in the fields, in the glances exchanged between neighbors who wonder what might happen next. He speaks to the grandmother again that evening, listening as she shares her endless routines, the walks to school, the meals prepared for the children, the aches in her body that she ignores because there is no choice. She tells him not to worry, but he sees through her words. He sees the fatigue behind her smile, and he knows that her strength, though remarkable, is not infinite. He feels guilt, a sharp pang that pierces his chest, because so much of the burden has fallen upon her shoulders, and yet he has not found a way to ease it. He promises her once more that the villa he dreams of will become real, that soon she will have a place to rest, to live in comfort, to let go of these endless responsibilities. She listens quietly, her eyes reflecting a mixture of doubt and hope. But in the end, she simply nods, because what else can she do except believe that tomorrow will be better? The idea of the villa grows in his mind, almost like a second heartbeat. He pictures the walls rising, tall and strong, protecting everyone inside. He imagines rooms filled with warmth, laughter, and security. He imagines gardens where the children can run, where fruit trees will grow, where mornings will begin with the smell of blossoms instead of worry. He knows the land is good, the feng shui promising, and he believes that building here will change everything. Yet he also knows that dreams are fragile, that one misstep in business, one crisis in the market, could shatter everything. Still, he holds the dream close, because without dreams, life would be nothing more than endless survival, and he refuses to live only to survive. On the roadside, selling melons, he feels the simplicity of joy. The fruits glisten in the light, their sweetness calling to passers-by, and he engages with each customer as though they are old friends, laughing, joking, offering tastes, bargaining with good humor. These moments, though small, remind him of life's lighter side, the way human connection can make even the hardest day bearable. And yet, even here, whispers of fear travel, people mentioning John, people lowering their voices when speaking of Dieppe, as though the very mention might summon misfortune. He feels the tension of a community on edge, a community waiting for answers that may never come. One evening, as the children sleep and the house grows quiet, he allows himself to think deeply about all that has happened. He thinks of the path ahead, the risks of moving the factory, the weight of providing for so many lives, the fragility of health, the uncertainties of fate. He wonders if he is strong enough to bear it all, if his choices will lead his family to safety or ruin. He wonders if the villa will ever rise from the ground, or if it will remain forever a dream. He wonders what became of Dieppe, if she is safe somewhere, or if the truth is far darker than anyone dares to say. He wonders why John was taken, and if more storms are waiting on the horizon. But amid these worries, he hears the soft breathing of his children, the steady rhythm of their sleep, and he feels a spark of determination return. For them, he will not stop. For them, he will endure the endless days of work, the sleepless nights of worry, the uncertainty of business, the shadows of fear. For them, he will fight to build something lasting, something strong. And so, as the night deepens, he makes a silent vow to himself. No matter how heavy the burden, no matter how uncertain the path, he will not give up. He will not falter, because his life is no longer just his own. It is bound to theirs. And as long as he breathes, he will carry them forward.